Battlefield has, and hopefully always will be, a multiplayer FPS sandbox. 1943 was my first exposure to the beautiful chaos of Battlefield, and I think that's the game that exemplifies it better than almost any other Battlefield game. It really comes down to the fact that it's a smaller, simpler Battlefield that still retains what's always made Battlefield fun. You eventually come to learn and memorize each map's layout so you can take advantage of every nook and cranny to its fullest potential. Every lighthouse, bunker, and hillside has something that can be used to the player's advantage. It's one of the few games where a small map count works to the game's advantage. There's a story for every inch of every map, and that's not an overstatement. Rigging a Jeep with TNT and sending it into a hangar, staging your own beach landings with friends. Battlefield 1943 is a reminder that bigger doesn't always mean better. That you don't need an endless variety of maps, guns, and vehicles. You just need to be able to squeeze as much as you can out of what you have. And thanks to Battlefield 1943's fantastic game design, that's exactly what it does.
Stay alert and silent.
Ready to breach.
Go, go, go! Follow my lead! The Rainbow Six Siege I play today isn't the same Rainbow Six Siege I played during the beta and launch. And you know what? That's why I love it. I fell in love with Siege because it featured intimate, malleable maps that could bend and break to appease to a team's strategy. I fell in love with Siege because I could apply certain tactics based on the operator me and my teammates have chosen. That still hasn't changed. What has changed is the emphasis Ubisoft has put on its cast of characters. I love multiculturalism. I love learning about different cultures, languages, the people. That's what Rainbow Six is all about. It's a gathering of the world's most elite soldiers from across the globe. And Ubisoft realized with the success of Overwatch that when done right, personality matters. Personality can give identity to a game. Ditching the gritty, grayscale military aesthetic is a bit of an unfortunate casualty of breathing life into the game's diverse cast, but I think it's really paid off for Ubisoft. An ever-evolving, consistently supported and updated game is the promise of Siege, and even if the tone of the game has shifted, the appeal of Siege and the promise of Siege has not changed. Tactics, FPS action, multiculturalism, personality, consistent support, this game just clicks with me, and it's why I've played since launch, have the Platinum Trophy, and still play Siege to this very day.
Kill all sons of bitches. That's my official instructions.
This used to be a nice neighborhood.
I know Left 4 Dead has a bit of an identity with the Xbox 360, but I played it on PC even though I'm not much of a PC gamer. But I wasn't gonna let that stop me from playing Left 4 Dead 2. It was actually kind of hard to play Left 4 Dead 2 with a controller after playing it for hours and hours on a mouse and keyboard. Left 4 Dead 2 didn't convert me into a PC gamer, but it definitely came close. The Steam Workshop was a game changer, adding easy mod support for people who play on a Mac like me, making it easy to appreciate Left 4 Dead 2 to its fullest potential. That's only one part of the story though. Why is Left 4 Dead 2 good? Why did I gravitate toward it? It's the personality. Everything in this game is so easily recognizable and enjoyable. It's easy to memorize each zombie's name, their patterns, and not only that, you can play as the zombies in one of the game's online modes. The player characters are just as memorable. The intro cutscene tells you everything you need to know about them.
Who the hell puts an evac station up 30 flights of goddamn stairs?
Come on, Coach. Maybe the helicopter. Maybe it's made of chocolate.
But the reactions to the world of the Deep South apocalypse make them characters that are easy to relate to and enjoy. The dynamic level design is also worth noting because it makes every single playthrough unique and surprising.
I have not come this far to die now.
What do you say we try this again? My friends call me Sully.
Nathan Drake. Nate.
Drake, huh? Okay. I see great things in our future, kid. Great things.
Uncharted 3 felt like, at the time, the culmination of my entire gaming career. Uncharted 2 was the game that put me in tune with the gaming industry as a whole, so Uncharted 3 was one of the first major games I had followed every step of the way. All of the trailers, all of the commercials, even the stupid Subway promotions, all the news about betas and all. I even bought Infamous 2 almost solely due to the fact that it had an Uncharted 3 beta code inside. And you know what? It was all worth it. Uncharted 3 really took strides forward with Uncharted's presentation. It definitely tried to do things a little differently and to expand the world of Uncharted by adding new characters like Cutter and Marlowe.
Beneath that cocky exterior, you're still the same scared, filthy little runaway, aren't you?
Skip the mind games. You don't know me.
In fact, I suspect I know you better than anyone, Mr. Drake. Of course, that's not your real name, is it?
The narrative took a multi-generational approach by contextualizing the present-day storyline through a relevant episode showcasing one of Nathan Drake's earliest adventures. Uncharted 3 really dives into the psychology of Nathan Drake and attempts to develop him even further by pushing him with a deeply personal quest. We don't see the same Nathan Drake in 3 because he's a little more desperate. He makes more mistakes involving the ones he cares about, so the stakes feel higher than ever.
Thought I'd lost it.
Here's the thing, kid. We don't get to choose how we start in this life. Real greatness, it's what you do with the hand you dealt.
Sunshine is the black sheep of the Mario franchise, but Flood from Sunshine definitely marks one of the most game-changing, forever cementing Sunshine as something different than anyone might normally expect from a Mario game, especially something someone wouldn't expect going from Mario 64 to Sunshine. 3D gaming wasn't some brand new revelation for me when I booted up Sunshine for the first time though, so I didn't start with the rose-tinted glasses many had when playing Mario 64. I didn't fall in love with Mario Sunshine purely based on the merit that it was 3D. I fell in love with it because it's just a really great game. Super Mario Sunshine is a summer vacation on a disc. The vibes and the tonality of it all remain so consistent throughout, I could swear I've got a sunburn by the time I'm all the way through. Every sun-baked environment not only look and feel the part, but they're also designed extremely well, allowing for easygoing adventures and nail-biting challenges in equal measure. Sunshine is easily one of the most difficult Mario games just to simply complete, even if the player is crit pathing their way through and doing the bare minimum. Every single shine sprite feels earned either through sheer luck or sheer determination, making each one feel significant and the entire experience very rewarding.
On our journey, we will be attacked by all manner of creature. To be effective in combat, a warrior must not feel for his enemy. Close your heart to their desperation. Close your heart to their suffering.
Is God of War the best game of the year? Unquestionably. Is it my favorite? Not quite. Even so, 2018's soft reboot of God of War is commendable not only for accomplishing the impossible, but paving the way for the future of video games while doing so. If 4 or 5 years ago someone said that God of War was going to have an over-the-shoulder perspective, tear-jerking cutscenes, and no huge Colossus of Rhodes moments, it would have either been A, not believable, or B, not received well. I think what made this dramatic change to the franchise a little easier was the fact that not only was Kratos back in the saddle, the game is absolutely beautiful as well. That's just what someone could tell by looking at it. But what the player gets from playing God of War is the understanding that Sony Santa Monica put as much love and attention into this game as possible. Every single one of this game's environments feels like it had everything imaginable squeezed out of it, from both a puzzle and combat perspective. The game's enemies strike a fine balance between keeping the player on their toes, but also making combat fun and dynamic. The story of God of War is a beautiful and artistic depiction of the bond between father and son, creating a tale that feels deep, meaningful, and heartfelt from the second it begins. For the first time, God of War has a narrative anyone can connect to, combining the subtle nuance of Christopher Judge's masterful performance as Kratos with the genuine and human direction of Cory Barlog.
We will be the gods we choose to be, not those who have been. This life was hers. Now it is yours. Find your way home.
My name's John Marston.
What are you doing here, Mr. Marston?
I'm here to capture or kill Bill Williamson.
Okay.
The more time I've put in between me and this game, the more I realize the absolute brilliance of Red Dead Redemption's storytelling. Even though its sequel would focus on a more human and grounded approach to the Wild West, while this game had more of a spaghetti western feel to it, Red Dead Redemption goes beyond its almost parodic level of presentation to create a symbolic tale about the death and rebirth of the era it depicts. John Marston is the living embodiment of the West, but it doesn't strip him of his incredible depth. There are dozens of ways to interpret John Marston, and none of them are really wrong. Maybe he's a bad guy with a good heart. Maybe he's a bad guy trying to be good in a world that just won't let him. There's a level of tragedy in John, and it's reflected in his actions and reactions to the personal journey he finds himself in. A lot of Red Dead Redemption 1 is contextualized in Red Dead Redemption 2, but the writing of this game tells enough about the history of its characters to make every encounter with a former gang member meaningful. Red Dead Redemption is, like I said, a deeply symbolic tale about the struggle against change and progress, represented through three different characters: Dutch, John, and his son Jack, each one acting as a symbol for the game's tragic themes.
I got a plan, John.
You always got a plan, Dutch.
This is a good one.
I don't doubt it.
We can't always fight nature, John. We can't fight change. Can't fight gravity. We can't fight nothing. My whole life, all I ever did was fight.
Then give up, Dutch.
But I can't give up, neither. I can't fight my own nature. That's a paradox, John.
You can make it, my friend. You always survive. The honor should be yours.
Even though Call of Duty 4 was the series' first jump into an M rating, World at War made it crystal clear that Call of Duty, despite its reputation, wasn't for the kiddies anymore. This is one of the first first-person shooters I've ever been fully immersed in, really embracing the game's incredibly heavy tone. World at War introduced the iconic Zombies mode, and still remains as the shining example of excellent Zombies map design. Simple, yet fun. The multiplayer may not have done much with the established formula put in place by 4, but the campaign continues on as one of the franchise's best, timing sniper shots with airplane sweeps, manning an American flying fortress. Some of the series' most iconic moments were born from World at War. It has intense moments with a sweeping orchestra and choir, giving off a heavy, suspenseful war as hell vibe, like you can imagine the dirt on your face and the stench of death in the air. World at War can honestly be hard to play. It's harrowing and visceral. The tone is extremely heavy at times. World at War isn't trying to be a super tasteful, respectful depiction of World War II like some of its peers and predecessors. It's not afraid to come in with its rock and roll guitar riffs to remind you that, yeah, this is supposed to be a fun, badass video game. And, well, it is. I forgot how much I loved Crash Bandicoot until E3 2016, when Shawn Layden walked across that stage to the Crash Warped theme and I promptly freaked the hell out. A rush of nostalgia straight to the brain like nothing I'd ever felt before. All those years running and jumping around the medieval times, the desert tombs, and flying through the air, all at once. But I'm going with the remake of Warped, not because the original doesn't hold up, but because the remake is so faithful to the original look and sound of Crash Warped. And yes, I'm calling it a remake and not a remaster, but that's a debate for another day. Anyway, the remake made me realize that it wasn't just nostalgia glasses or blind acceptance of bad games as a child. Crash Warped is a seriously fantastic video game, and I really began to realize it after playing the other two games that preceded it, something I hadn't done up to that point. Warped doesn't have the frustrating leaps of faith of the first game and starts off with the refined platforming of Crash 2. The levels are extremely diverse in both visuals, music, and gameplay, even if it does come at the cost of one vehicle section too many. Warped still isn't the easiest game on the planet, but it's much more accessible than the previous two entries, making it a blast for anyone, even if they don't have the experience of a veteran Crash Bandicoot fan.
Crash, crash, crash. Why must you always muck in my mud? Oh, look! I have a mask helping me, too. We will find out which one is more powerful soon enough.
Something I value in any entertainment medium is any ability to betray the audience's expectations in smart, inventive ways. Metal Gear Solid 2 is the epitome of defying expectations, with that being the central message to the entire experience. Raiden isn't Snake, and even though his character's payoff isn't until Guns of the Patriots, his character is immediately iconic for better or worse. The environments are insanely detailed and interactive, and Sons of Liberty's advancements in artificial intelligence and game design harken back to the days when the most popular games were also the ones pushing the envelope, instead of playing it safe for the sake of a secured profit. Kojima and his team took a huge risk for this game, and even though it's a divisive end result, I'm incredibly happy they took it.
In denial, you simply resort to looking for another, more convenient truth in order to make yourself feel better.
Leaving behind in an instant the so-called truth you once embraced.
Should someone like that be able to decide what is truth?
Should someone like you even have the right to decide?
I hear it's amazing when the famous purple stuffed worm in Flapjaw Space with the tuning fork does a raw blink on Harry Carey Rock. I need scissors. 61.
This game predicted the modern political climate we live in, it set a precedent for what sequels can and should be, and the entire thing feels like it's still from the future in some ways. Kojima makes games that are ahead of their time, and it's why I'm always excited for the things he and his team makes, and why I can't wait for his next game, Death Stranding.
Hey, what's your name?
Raiden.
Raiden? Strange code name.
Makes up for the boring one my parents gave me.
Maybe I'll find out someday.